Hi, Marina, and thank you so much for joining me today in that discussion about dragons. I am very, very fascinated about this topic because I have met many people in Bali who specifically were telling me they have seen the dragons, they felt the dragons, and then I bumped into you one day and you have also mentioned that to me and that you also work with the dragons. And I thought, well, that's the girl I would like to talk about, that energy and connecting to the dragon energy within. So I would like to know, how did you get to the dragons first time?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And so the dragons, they started to be present in my life in 2021. So 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. I had a kind of spiritual awakening. And then I started to connect with energy that was very present in my field and I couldn't quite understand. So sometimes I would see them actually physically. So in the sky, in the clouds, or when I was in a volcanic place, like above the volcano, and have dreams with them, or they would show up in my meditations. But at some time, just started to become more and more present. All of us, we know the Game of Thrones, the series. And I always connected a lot with the mother of the dragons. She's very connected to the dragons. And this kind of touched me into a place that I was not expecting. And so it was already in the background of my life until in 2021, it started to become more present. And so in my meditations, I would see them. And at some point, I was in Brazil and I went to a spiritual center that is from African religion that is very present in Brazil. I am Brazilian, by the way. And the name is Umbanda. And we talk with spirit guides in this place. And so I would arrive in this place and a person who was working as a medium, so she was actually incorporating a spirit. She came to me and she told me, there is a dragon very present in your field. And now it's time for you to give birth to this dragon, for you to start working with this dragon. And so I was like,
dragons are very common in Brazil? People do believe in dragons in
actually,
Brazil?
not so much. Not so much, but I believe I have a very special connection with them. And then at some point, this spirits that were in my field, they were trying to communicate with me in a proper way, and this was the opportunity for them to talk with me. And so this spirit, her name is Aurora, she came to me and she said that a dragon was very present in my field and then I should give birth to this dragon to start working with them. And then I was like, what do you mean with this? How can I give birth to this energy, to a dragon? And so she said, you will know when it's time. I came back to my house without quite understanding what she told me. And then almost a week after, I had a dream. And I had a dream with a dragon egg, a crystal. Like yoni eggs that many people use for other things, other practices. And so I had a dream with a yoni egg, like black-brown, the color. And then I woke up and was like, oh, I should get the egg. And as soon as I open my computer, I'm working with something else. And then an advertisement of a crystal store just pop up in my computer. And as soon as I go to their website, I see the egg that I had a dream with. That was a magno obsidian. And so I'm like, okay, I will get the egg. So I buy the egg comes to my house. And as soon as I have the egg, and I am like, okay, what should I do now? What is the next step? And I trust that when is the moment, once again, I will understand. And so I go to sleep and I understand that I should start working with this energy, with the energy of the egg. And first of all, to understand which energy I am coding into this egg.
So you understood you need to kind of transport, download, how would you call it? Energy into the egg.
Yeah, I should code.
And
put a
would
new
it
code.
be almost something like that?
Yes.
Was it like a bigger shape?
It was
I'm
bigger.
having a crystal here, which is in the form of an egg. And it's quartz. And so, yeah, please carry on with that story. What happened afterwards?
So it's not a download. I believe like download is more like when you have some information. I was coding. I was putting the codes of a specific energy into this crystal, right? So it was not a random yoni egg. It was the yoni egg that would receive the right codes for me to bring this specific kind of energy. I started to work with the eggs. This was very new for me, so I never did this before, and I was like, okay, I believe that I'm supposed to do this by intuition, just following my intuition. And so I started to sleep with the egg close to me. I made an altar for the egg. Sometimes I was putting some candles, like to connect with the fire. And sometimes I was singing, chanting for the egg. And so I was doing different kinds of practices with the egg. And to be very honest and transparent, at some point I also used the egg, so as a yoni egg. So was also sometimes sleeping with the egg. And I believe as women, the womb is really our gate, portal of creation.
The sacred place.
Yeah. It really holds the Akashic records, the information of everything that it is, the womb. It's just for us to really explore that. And so once I started using the egg, I was having different types of dreams with the dragon and beyond. Different types of dreams. And so as soon as I started to do this, it was not just about giving birth to this specific energy in a closer dimension, because they are connected to the 12th dimension, actually, the dragons, to be able to work with them, but also it was moving a lot of things within my body. My body was passing through many different challenges and upgrades. I was needing to release and liberate a lot of things that were held in my womb and in my body, my energy body. And until one day that I think after some months, like 3 months I would say, I come back to this spiritual center in Brazil. And then Aurora, there's a spirit in a person, right, comes to talk with me again, and she says, you are almost there. I know that you are afraid, but you are doing it on the right way. And
that Aurora lady, you said she comes to you in a spirit form.
Yeah, but a person is incorporating Aurora. So it's actually a person that
when you
gave space,
channeling Aurora. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, in the centers in Brazil, we have this kind of practice in Umbanda of like mediums incorporating spirits. And so actually the person who is connected to the body steps away for Aurora to come through her. So her voice even changes. It's very fascinating.
And it's always the same personality that comes through? The same person,
no.
Aurora? Or is it
Aurora always comes through this person. This doesn't mean that she can just come through this person. In this gathering, always through this person. But this person also receives other spirits. So it's not always Aurora. Sometimes another spirit comes through her.
Okay, thank you.
But always Aurora talks about the dragon with me.
And what did she say this time?
And she said, I know that you were afraid and that you doesn't understand how to do. Because I talked with other friends who had similar experiences, but they were birthing their dragons in different ways. And in my mind, I was trying to understand. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm doing it in a wrong way. And then she said, you are doing the right way. Each dragon carries a different kind of frequency. And so follow your heart. You are almost there. So I came back to my house. I'm like, okay. I didn't use the egg every night. Mostly in the full moon and new moon, I was giving moon bath in the egg. So when it was full moon, I was placing the egg outside of my house. And so before I go to sleep, I would talk with the egg, and then I would sleep with the egg within me. And this night I felt putting a specific playlist with a specific kind of frequency. And I slept the whole night with this frequency playing with the egg. And so the day after, I wake up and I take the egg out and I put on a cup. I was using a kind of cup in my altar to just hold the egg, you know. And I go to the other part of my bedroom to take some clothes, to change my clothes. And then I listen to the cup just breaking. And then I come back, and then the eggs is still there, but the cup is broken. And then in my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe I did something wrong, like already mistrusting the process. And yeah, my mind was already going a bit crazy, like maybe I don't know if I'm working with the right kind of spirits, maybe it's like some bad energies in my room and all of this. And I would like to mention that I always do this with a lot of protection and knowledge. I studied a lot about this before doing.
So you've read a lot about dragons and dragons' energy, and also about, so that's how you found out about those 12 dimensions?
Yeah, exactly.
I would like to
know
the books, but maybe let's mention it towards the end.
Sure.
For others, some of
to know about
people who are watching us might be curious about the books as well.
And so
you got back to the egg, and then the stand that was holding it is just broken, and you were thinking, oh, I might be doing something wrong. And then what happened?
And so this day I also woke up with a lot of pain on my throat, so a lot of throat pain. And then the day before, my throat was fine, actually. And so, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And then some days after, the week after, I go to this spiritual center again, because I was going there like weekly. And then Aurora comes to me and she says, congratulations, so you finally gave birth to your dragon. And now you can work with it. And she told me that my throat pain was actually connected to the sound of the dragons, because the dragons, they also hold a specific frequency of sound. And so some frequencies, they doesn't exist here yet. And as soon as you bring a dragon to life, you are giving birth to also a new frequency of sound. And so dragons are also very connected to sound healing. And so I started to see my dragon more and more present in my field.
And how would you describe your dragon? How did it look like, your first ever dragon?
Okay. So the first one, it's very, very big. It's a masculine energy. It's black with violet color. And it's very connected to the element of fire. We can think that all the dragons are connected to fire, but we also have water dragons, ether dragons, air dragons, like dragons connected with different elements.
So at least 4 types of dragons. We've got 5 elements. Yeah, 5. That makes sense.
And so I started to feel my voice shifting, and I felt the fire, the element, more and more present in my life. So at this point, my life was changing completely. I was going through so many shifts. I had a specific job, a specific relationship, like everything just was falling apart. I changed my job, I quit the relationship, like everything was changing because the fire was just burning. Everything that wasn't truth. Everything that was kind of keeping me stuck into a timeline that was not the best and the truest for me.
It's almost like fire was removing all the obstacles in your life and something that needs to be gone, almost like a Shiva energy, right? Destroying.
Exactly. Exactly. And then when I started to work with the dragons, it was very, very interesting because there is a specific word that I use to call them in. And it's very connected actually to the word that this woman in the Game of Thrones uses. So it was, my mind was like, oh, maybe it's not by chance they created the series. Maybe that's actually a real story that someone just downloaded and was, that's why it was, it created so much like identification also for people, so many people watched the series and connected with her. The Targaryens, I believe that's the surname of this family. I will remember her name until the end of the episode. But once I was calling in this dragon, the energy was so huge because it's a huge being, right? It's not a human, that I was just sleeping completely. So
you were too tired, your body was too tired to hold
the frequency.
Energy, the frequency of it.
Exactly. So every time I was calling in, I was using this word by intuition. It came to me also in my dreams. And as soon as I was feeling the energy of the dragon, I was like sleeping for like 1 hour and then coming back without understanding why. And so every time I was asking for clarity and for wisdom for me to understand how to work better with this energy, with protection in my field, for me to just channel an energy that was impacting me and everyone else in a positive way and not the opposite. And so I understood that everything was fine, but I was preparing my container, my physical body, to be able to hold this energy. Otherwise, it was just too much. And so I started to work out and eat better and sleep better. I needed to create a strong body for me to be able to work with this energy. And so I started to work with them.
And when did you realize that you can hold into this energy of your first dragon? Has anything else appeared in your life? Has anything changed?
Everything.
Apart from what you've already mentioned.
Everything. The dragons, they are here to bring the truth. It's not by chance that so many cultures, they really worship the dragons. And they are ancient beings that are coming back because we are in this time of just dissolving illusion of the matrix. And the dragons are here bringing the truth. And so as soon as I started to work with the dragons, everything that was not true in my life started to crumble.
And I also heard that now is apparently the time for the dragons to start working with the humanity. So how would you describe that working with humanity, apart from showing us that there is something more, that everything we were told and we believe, and there are different dimensions, I understand, so they're flying through different dimensions, bringing new frequencies. Are they about to bring human race into like a new level of functioning? Is it new level of consciousness?
Okay, so imagine that these dragons, they bring us truth, right? As I mentioned, they are dissolving everything that is an illusion that is connected to the matrix. And so as soon as they come to our field and we start to walk with them and to work with them, you are completely upgrading not just your body, not just in a physical level, because you are just upgrading dormant DNA. They are bringing new codes that we are just using to upgrade our awareness. And so for sure we are shifting consciousness in a collective way through those beings that are just bringing truth.
How much of this energy can you actually receive and give a birth to the earth? Is it a specific number? Like you have been working since 2021, right? So how many dragons gone through you? Like how many births have you given?
7.
And was it all happening in Bali or were they different places?
Different places completely. So I had one in Brazil, I had one in Guatemala, in Lake Atitlan, that is also a lake with a volcano. I had here in Bali. I had in different places. When I was in Europe also. So I went to Sicily, in Etna, volcano also. In different places. And I believe there are different dragons connected to different places. And they are bringing different types of energy. And so...
And I've heard that people have seen dragons in Bali around Agong, the volcano mountain, and Batur. There is also... one guide told me there is a specific cave you can go and meditate. And I have been in this cave. We walked about 50 meters inside of the cave. We sat down in a complete darkness. You don't have to really close your eyes because whether you had them open or closed, it still was pitch black. And we started meditating there, and then suddenly I saw in my meditation some ancient Asian buildings. I could say, well, it could have been China, it could have been Japan, I don't know, it could have been anywhere else with those, like, I think they're called pagoda. Pagoda roofs. And very colorful with some gold on it. And I thought, wow. But it was just like a flashback in the memory. And then I didn't see anything, just a darkness around. And it's amazing that you say that specific place has got probably one dragon. Would you say one or more?
More.
I would like to hear more about the lake dragons. So tell me about that lake and dragon in Guatemala.
Okay, so Lake Atitlan is a very mystical place in Guatemala. The land is Mayan, actually, and there is a hidden city on the bottom of the lake. It's a very, very deep lake, but because no one reached the bottom, perhaps it's one of the deepest lakes of the planet. We know that it's the deepest lake of Central America for sure. And so there's a volcano there, and where we have volcanoes, the dragon energy is very, very present.
They like volcanoes.
Yeah, they really like volcanoes. And so I would say that the dragons that are connected to the water and also to the fire, they are always connected to the fire and with another element, right? What I feel from them is that they are activating the codes in the water. So it's the same as I was mentioning with the human body, or with the air, with the ether, with the fire. The water goes around the whole planet. So how can we bring new information and upgrades to humanity the best way possible? Through water, right? And so when you bring those specific kind of energy, the dragons, you are just putting new information in the water and elevating the consciousness of humanity through the water, because we use water to have our bath or to drink,
yeah, of course,
or to swim. And so,
and most likely it also enriches our planet, right? When the new codes are received through water,
for sure,
and hopefully purifying it as well.
This, yeah, for sure. Like you can notice that in Bali the dragon energy is very, very present. Not just because now we are ending the year of the dragon. So this year, last time was 1964. I know because it was the year that my mother was born. She was born in a dragon year, and now we are in the last days before the Chinese New Year. We are welcoming the year of the serpent. So it was almost us as a collective coming back to a point where we are ready to connect with those energies. And in Bali, this energy is very, very present because we have 6 ley lines crossing Bali. And you see dragons everywhere, also in the temples, because talking with some Balinese people, like elders, Bali is, they told me that Bali is the land of purification. So we come here to purify our souls. And purifying is about upgrading, right, who we are and evolving and growing. For us to go through a transformational shift where we are raising our consciousness and awareness, we need also to create space for this. So we need to release a lot of things, illusions, programmings that are not aligned with our highest expression. And Bali is very well known for the purification process. Also, so many water purification temples. And
coming back to the water dragons and lake in Guatemala, have you got any story around that? How did you have a chance to connect to the dragons living there, encountered a dragon?
Okay, so I've been working with a specific egg that I understood it was the right moment to give birth to after giving birth to the first one that I just told you the story about. It also came through a dream. It's usually, for different people, comes through different ways, but for me it came through a dream. And then I was working with this energy in the lake while I was living there for 3 months. And then, honestly, it was a period of a lot of shadow work for me. So I was really working with a lot of hidden aspects of my psychic and myself. So I was working a lot with my voice opening once again, with speaking my truth, understanding better and better about my sexuality. So owning my sexuality and my power of creation, connecting more and more with my womb. And sometimes I would come to the lake to meditate. And one day, I think it was a full moon in Pisces. And one day I was in the lake in this full moon doing a ceremony for myself, really not expecting that the moment has arrived once again. And I had, by chance, by synchronicity, the egg with me and some flowers, some fruits offering to the lake. And I'm meditating by myself. And so I understand that the lake is asking me to give it to her. We call Mama Lake in Guatemala. The egg, this yoni egg, once again. And so I was like, feeling a bit of attachment with the egg. And I was like, I don't want to give you my egg. I'm still using it. And through my meditation, it was clear that I did my work with this energy, and it was ready to
depart.
Yeah, to come to life and for this work with myself also to come to a closure. I was like, the initiation was done, was complete. And so I offered the egg to the lake. And I offered during the night. And the day after, I would wake up, and my house was by the lake, and I would wake up, and I'm not saying that this happened because of my dragon, but it was everything very synchronized. The day after, we had the volcano erupting in Guatemala, and a lot of clouds around the volcano, and it was just a confirmation for me. I was like, oh, this was really the right day for this to happen. And yeah, I think that was really the beginning of my connection with them, because even if right now I really embrace and accept this reality, that they are here, many times my mind also has doubts, trying to understand better, and like, oh, maybe I'm going crazy. How can I give birth to a dragon? How can I be working with that? Maybe I'm just creating this with my imagination. But then one day after I gave birth to the dragon in the lake, the volcano was erupting. And my energy also shifted. It was almost me stepping up into a new version of myself. Not a better version, but a truer version, a version that was more true, more aligned with who I am.
I see. And would you say it's only female practice? Only women give birth to dragons? Or could it be also done by men?
It could be also done by men. After I started to work with the dragons, I was also in the position of being a messenger for some people. So sometimes I would just start this conversation with them about dragons, or they would be attracted to me to just talk with me about this specific topic, and then I would just receive the download that I was coming to their life to just guide them to the process. Many times with men. So yeah, men can also give birth to dragons.
And you do teach women and men how to receive the energy and transform it into
exactly
the egg, and then
because the story that I mentioned, I used one of the eggs within me to connect with my womb, but some of the dragons I didn't.
So not every dragon comes through the egg.
It's always through the egg, at least with me. We have different people that connect with them through different ways, through voicing, and through me it was always connected to an egg, a crystal. But what I mean is that sometimes I did the whole process in water, and I didn't use myself as a yoni egg.
Okay.
Sometimes through fire. So yeah, it really depends. That's why for men it's also for sure possible. If they can't use as a yoni egg, they can work with the egg in a different way.
And oh wow, just coming back to the eruption of Guatemala volcano. Was it serious? Did people die at that time?
No.
Of the eruption? No, it was pretty safe.
No.
Okay.
It was super safe.
Right. So tell me more about teaching others, and what would you recommend to people how to begin working with this energy? And I have actually met 5 people at least in Bali last year, 2024, telling me about the dragons. And one lady specifically, who was also my client, she was embodying the energy of the dragon, and she was describing it differently. She would feel like this energy goes inside of her. She feels it in her body. And then she would say, yeah, but now I can't get it into my tail, which was very unusual to me and fascinating at the same time. Would she finally get it? Would she get the tail as well? And what do you recommend to people who would like to give a birth to their first dragon?
Okay, so I feel it's a big part of the process comes through meditation. and opening and clearing your channel.
And would it be meditation specifically on dragons? Like one would sit down and think of dragons?
Not really.
Or just the usual meditation?
I feel that meditation is our tool to open our channels. So everyone can channel and can download information. You just need to have your channel clear. And for the channel to be clear, you need to be present. And so through meditation, I believe we have access to all the information that needs to come through. The dragons, in my perspective, they come to you, you don't come to them. So it's not about a person waking up tomorrow and saying, oh, now I want to give birth to a dragon. We are different souls connected to different types of energies. And some people feel a lot of this connection with the dragons, but some other people, they doesn't, and that's fine. And so I feel when is the time for this person to start to work with the dragons? When the person is prepared, and for sure it requires also a lot of trust, because even for me in the beginning of the process, I was like, oh, I'm going crazy. This is not real. I believe when the person is ready, the dragon that wants to come through her will just come to her through a dream, through a meditation practice, or whatever else. I would say that it's important to have some kind of support, like guidance through the process. It's not a simple process. You are not just giving birth to a dragon. It's not just like fun. It's a very deep transformational practice, because you are changing yourself completely to create the container to receive this energy. And as soon as you receive this energy, your DNA is being upgraded. And with these upgrades, it's not just like beautiful. Sometimes it's very challenging. You need to liberate a lot of things from your life that are not serving you, but feels very familiar and comfortable. Mm-hmm. So it's really us stepping into the unknown and working in different ways. From my experience, I would say that they are very, very connected to sound, so always very connected to the throat.
Mm. And would you say they do open the throat as well? Like
for sure.
Speaking?
Yeah.
The voice?
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. They are very, very connected to the throat and through the sacrum. Mm-hmm. Some dragons, like ether dragons, very connected to the crown. And each dragon that will come to you will also give you what you need as a priority. So in my case, I needed to work a lot on my truth. It was like my voice was just like, I had many challenges in this lifetime and in others that closed me speaking my truth with confidence and like freedom and feeling safe. So the first dragon came to work a lot in my voice.
To help you to stand in your truth and be your authentic self,
exactly.
Expressing yourself and your needs, and also setting your boundaries, right?
Exactly.
That's what I usually do with clients when giving hypnotherapy sessions for confidence and self-belief and self-esteem. It's very important to stand in your truth. And well, luckily we also have got dragons, which are another great tool to work with your shadows.
For sure.
Is anything else interesting about the dragons that you would like to share today?
Yes. A very important topic, I feel, to mention is the dragons. They are very, very powerful beings that were cursed by religion. So many religions, in many cultures here in Asia, they really worship the dragons, and it's amazing. But in many other religions, they are
in Western,
demons.
Usually, culture. I think, and what I know also that in Eastern, they are the a symbol of good fortune. And in Western culture, we a little bit demonize them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And why do you think so?
In my perspective, many of the religions, maybe all of them, they really try to manipulate us, to control. And so if we have power within us, the religion doesn't want us to connect with this power. And how do they do this? If all of us, we are born knowing that dragons are amazing, that we all can connect with dragons and we can work with them, all of this, all of us, we would start connecting with them and we will be more and more aware about what is happening. So less and less manipulative.
Manipulation?
Less and less this like churches could manipulate us, right? And so that's why I believe the religions really demonize the dragons. Even me, in my first experience, I was kind of afraid. I was like, how can I know if this is good or if this is something bad? And then I understand, first of all, that everything is good. We experience this dimension of duality. And I believe that the religion really try to disconnect us more and more from our powers. Something that was very interesting that happened with me. I started to ask more about those questions. Why the religion demonized so much the dragons? Is this real? Is it because it's too powerful, not just for ourselves? Because if these beings are here bringing truth for us to dissolve illusion, this is not good for all of these authorities that are above us manipulating us. This is not good for them. This is good for us, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not of the desire to help us be more and more aware and connected with our own powers. And the dragons are here dissolving illusion and bringing more and more the truth.
And the empowerment.
And the empowerment of the human being.
Of what we are capable of doing, right? Because if we finally get to understanding that, wow, we've got so much more power than we were told of and than we believe in, we can create anything in our lives and have each having one dragon that helps to fight the shadows instead of how it was westernized, that you need to fight the dragon and kill it. Instead, you can actually have one dragon that is helping you to work through your shadows and remove them completely and free you from that.
And so, as you mentioned this, something very interesting is that in 2023, I had a whole trip around very sacred places. Like I was in Israel, I was in Palestine, I was in Jordan, I was in Sinai, in Egypt, Greece, Italy, different places. All the time very attracted by religion places. So go inside of churches, really meditating and trying to understand more and more about everything, the history behind the religions. And so I understood about the dragons that was why they were demonized, and they are still nowadays. And so in 2024, last year, I've been in Cairo, in Egypt, and I work a lot with Michael sometimes, Archangel Michael, and I started to have a friction with this energy because every time I would see a picture of Michael, he would be killing a dragon. And I would be like, why this? I don't believe this. How I work with both energies? Like I want to see behind this image.
The connection.
Yeah, with one thing and another. And so it was so amazing because I was in Cairo and then I entered a very small church that is not famous at all. And so I entered the church without understanding why. And then I look back on the church and there is a picture of Michael, and he's with the sword killing a man under him, another dragon. It was kind of a demon. And so it's the first time I see this image, and I'm like, oh, this resonates.
And it was the same painting exactly that you would see earlier, but
exactly.
instead
of the dragon, it was a man. Like, and then I was like, oh, finally. And then I sat in the church to understand better about this image. And then what it came through, it was that Michael is killing the lower self, not the dragon.
Ego.
Yeah, it's just the illusion of the lower self, all of the programming that keeps us stuck, enabling us to be more and more connected with the highest expressions of who we are. So the fear, the anxiety, the insecurity. Because if we stop to think about it, all of this, the lower self, all the programming the program of fear, insecurities, this is what charges the matrix. This is battery.
The lower frequencies.
This is battery for matrix. So it was amazing for me. It was almost like a confirmation, because I was kind of in a conflict with this.
That's really, really amazing. It's it's very like revealing the truth. Wow.
And I feel the truth is here for everyone to work with it. So even if in my understanding not everyone has a connection with dragons, perhaps I'm wrong. So I invite you to question this and open this door, I feel it's just a matter of grounding in your body and asking for truth. So that's the beginning of the process. I want to see the truth behind the illusion. Because sometimes we are so stuck into fear and insecurities, afraid of what's coming next, because illusion is really trying to hold us like, oh, we are very small, powerless beings. So we are going through all of those challenges. I invite you to really ask to see the truth, for you to really dissolve everything that is keeping you stuck into this not lower, but not so powerful expression of who you are. And perhaps the dragons, they will present themselves to you.
Do you know any mantra? Because I came across to one book that I'm still reading. It's more like a manual of a lady who encountered dragons and the master of that energy in Hawaii. It's something that I haven't finished yet, but she had mentioned a few mantras that she was given by her spiritual teacher. Do you know any mantras that you would chant?
Okay, so sometimes I received songs and different chantings that came through in the moment that I was working with the dragon. And I have them recorded in my cell phone, but I don't want to show
it's
and
not
share.
the moment you're going to be sharing.
But one that is very well known, Conway. Do you know Conway? She is this goddess that is. She's the mother of the dragons, and she's very connected to Asia. So Japan, China, also in Indonesia, in many places that you go, in Buddhist places, you will see Kuan Yin, that is this Asian woman, and she's usually sitting in a lotus flower. She's the mother of the dragons, okay? And her mantra is Om Mani Padme Om.
Yeah, I do know this mantra. I didn't know it could be related to dragons. I also know that Lakshmi, the goddess Lakshmi, is associated with lotus. And yeah, it's interesting that can it be embody of the same energy, but it's just in a different culture. It's a different goddess.
For sure. The lotus, I also see there is a connection, special connection in between the lotus and the dragons.
And the dragons. And actually, when I visited Udara in Canggu, they've just created an amazing temple, and they do have a dragon flying there. And the temple is also has got many flowers of lotus on the wall, and I think it's connected to Isis as well. Do you see connection here between Egypt, lotus, dragon?
For sure.
Where does it come from?
Okay, so I was in Egypt now, actually, before coming to Indonesia for 3 months. And there is a lineage of Isis that works with the lotus flower, the blue lotus flower. There is a prophecy that says that when the lotus flower is back in the Nile, we came to the new era, like the golden era of humanity. And I was actually in Aswan planting lotus in the Nile. And so I could say that it's happening. So Isis is very connected to the lotus, and the lotus is very connected to dragons. How can I see this? Okay, I didn't read this anywhere, so that's my personal understanding. I've been working with lotus a lot since Egypt. I sat with her for 50 days. So I was or drinking or smoking lotus flower every day to understand better and better about the medicine, to be able to guide other people through her, to support people and facilitate lotus ceremonies and things like this. Lotus is very, very connected to the opening of the crown chakra. But there is a very famous sentence nowadays that is no mud, no lotus. As soon as you open your crown, and this is kind of connected to the story that I told in the beginning, you are for sure like the opposite of the crown is your root on the perineum. So if the crown holds all the light of the self, the root, the perineum, holds all the darkness of the self. So if you are elevating your frequency, you're bringing more and more awareness and upgrading your body, for sure everything that was hidden into your root chakra is coming to the surface. You are creating space for the new. You are bringing light to everything. And so as the dragons, they come to bring through and upgrade our DNA, the lotus is the same. It's opening your crown, but it's showing everything else that is not aligning with the highest expression of who you are. So that's how I see the connection in between the dragons and the lotus.
So 2 different tools to awaken the higher energy, and probably Kundalini as well in yourself. Sure. Because if you operate operate on on 3 chakras here until it reaches the heart, then obviously it cannot connect to the top, right? Because the energy and the frequency of it is very low vibrational. But however, if one really works on themselves and then bring it up through the heart, I think the heart, it's the center where everything dissolves as well and cleanses, and then that energy, which is already a high energy, can go through other chakras and open to a lotus, because this is what is in yoga usually described when a saint person, an enlightened person, sits down and has gone through the self-realization, then the flower of the white lotus with 1,000 petals would open on their head. So the crown chakra, actually. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. They are 2 different energies. They are interconnected. I see the dragons can be also like guardians of the lotus. That is a very, very powerful medicine. But I feel they are very different in their way of like showing. flowers in general. I also work a lot with the rose and lotuses. Is very gentle, I feel, at least for me. And you are interacting with something external. You are like drinking the tea, or like you were smoking the lotus, and then you are like activating parts of yourself in a very feminine way. The dragons, we have masculine energies connected to dragons, but also feminine energies connected to dragons and different elements. So if you are working with a dragon of fire, sometimes your way of like connecting with a hidden aspect of yourself, it's in your throat chakra, and this was just like tight. And then the dragon, as soon as you connect with the dragon, will ask you to scream or to voice some things physically. So for you to embody really this energy to shift your body.
And luckily we've got some waterfalls in Bali where people do go and shout. It's recommended. I haven't done it myself, but
I did many times.
I have seen people shouting at those waterfalls. So just wrapping up everything we've said, and I understand you do some workshops and some private sessions. So whoever would like to work with you, I'm going to leave all the information below this podcast. We're speaking so much about I will leave the information below this podcast, and so people can reach out. Also, I'll share your Instagram and other social media. And the books. Is it any favorite book that you would like to recommend? And I will just write below all the books you mentioned. But is it a specific one that might be your favorite?
Okay, so there are different books and articles talking about it, and also videos. I would like to just create a list for you, and you put under the video. I don't want to mention any name of the book, because I also come from a place of believing that the right book will come to you. So not wanting to influence anyone, I believe that as soon as a person wants to work more with those energies, if you ask for it, the right book will come to your hands for you to understand better about it. Something that is also interesting that I would like to mention. Much of the story around dragons was erased from history for us also not to connect with them, right? And so many of the wisdom of the dragons will come through you without you reading in any book. There are different ways of working with dragons, and they are very different one from the other. So sometimes you have your proper way to work with a specific kind of energy that wants to come through you. I believe that sometimes there is a sentence that I really like, that it's telling that knowledge comes from having a lot of information, and wisdom comes from not having any information. And I feel that every time we work with these ancient energies, many of the things we are just like reclaiming back.
Yeah, we just know it. It's just somewhere in layers of our memory about past lives, I would say.
Yeah. All the information is in the body. It's really just about activating.
And also connecting to the universal wisdom, right?
For sure.
That's could be helpful.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for coming today and joining me in this discussion. It was fascinating about talking about the dragons. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure. If anyone has doubts, can always reach to me. Soon I will release an online workshop about the dragons for the first time. I had too many people coming into my life the last year asking me about guidance through it, and it was always very personal. And then I started to understand that I need to create a container for it. So soon I will release a workshop about the dragons. And the name that I really try to remember is Khaleesi. It's Khaleesi, the mother of the dragons of the series.
You see, that's how the subconscious works. When you give it a command, I will remember of the name by the end of this episode. And here we go.
And so, important to say for everyone to be very aware and conscious about which kind of energies do you work with. And so that's why I feel it's so important to have guidance, some kind of support when working with dragons. But it's amazing and life-changing, very transformative. And thank you so much.
Thank you.